before you give me one of your lectures, are you saying that we should require state and local law enforcement to get a warrant before they fight back?
It depends on the condition. So in an exigent circumstance or something along the
I'm
border.
aware of the exceptions to the warrant. You're not talking to Bambi's baby brother here. Okay, I've read some of your stuff. I think you'd be more intellectually honest if you just come out and say, I'm on the side of the bad guys here. Have you ever heard of a legislative practice called loving a bill to death?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you take a bill and somebody says, I'm really for this bill. But then they add so many amendments and they screw it up so badly that the bill either becomes ineffective or doesn't pass. Is that a pretty accurate description?
Of the term?
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome back, loyal patriots, to MAGA Capital, the loudest, boldest, most unrelenting voice in defense of truth, liberty, and law and order. Before we get started, do your part in fighting back against the censorship machine. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss a moment of American strength in action. Today, we're reacting to one of the most satisfying moments we've seen on Capitol Hill in a long time. Senator John Kennedy, sharp as ever, took a so-called legal expert to school during a hearing on state and local law enforcement using drones to defend against criminal activity. And folks, it was fireworks. Pure, unfiltered, righteous fire from a senator who refuses to sugarcoat the truth. Senator Kennedy started by asking a simple, obvious question. Are the bad guys using drones to smuggle drugs, conduct surveillance, or even carry out attacks? Everyone agreed. Yes, they are. Then Kennedy asked, should state and local law enforcement be able to fight back? Again, nobody disagreed. But then came the professor. This guy tried to drown the room in legalese and technicalities to explain why, actually, law enforcement shouldn't have clear authority to act. He brought up the Fourth Amendment, the First Amendment, and even the 10th Amendment. Now don't get me wrong, we love the Constitution. We defend it every day. But what this guy was doing wasn't about constitutional rights. It was about tying the hands of police. He wanted so many limitations, requirements, caveats, and exceptions that you'd need a team of lawyers and a judge's permission slip just to intercept a drone flying over a stadium. And Senator Kennedy wasn't having it. He called it out for what it was, an attempt to love the bill to death. That's when someone pretends to support something, then adds so many poison pills and amendments that it dies in committee. We've all seen it before. It's an old DC trick, and Kennedy saw right through it. The best moment came when Kennedy told the professor, flat out, "You're not talking to Bambi's baby brother here." Classic Kennedy. No nonsense. No word games. Just calling out the leftist agenda in plain language. The senator accused the professor, rightfully, of making it harder for law enforcement to protect Americans. And when the professor squirmed, Kennedy told him what we all could see. "I don't believe you." Let's listen to the Senate hearing.
The ports of entry, but that's not your experience, is it?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kennedy?
The bad guys are using drones. Does anybody disagree with that? Okay. And the federal government has the authority to fight back, does it not? But state, nobody disagrees with that statement? Sure, Professor.
I would say within limits, yes. Within constitutional limits.
Okay. Do any of you disagree with giving state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back?
Again, within constitutional limits.
Okay. Tell me what your constitutional concerns are, Professor.
So I have three primary concerns. The first has to do with the Fourth Amendment and the conditions under which a warrant is required and a general warrant is forbidden by the Fourth Amendment. So in this particular case, it's important.
Professor, before you give me one of your lectures, Are you saying that we should require state and local law enforcement to get a warrant before they fight back?
It depends on the condition. So in an exigent circumstance or something along the
I'm
border.
aware of the exceptions to the warrant requirement. But you, generally speaking, you want to require them to get a warrant.
Only for the search of a device or the seizure of property. There are also due process implications of that.
Okay. You started to mention another one of your objections.
First Amendment.
First Amendment. Okay. Any others?
Yeah, I also have a state rights, a 10th Amendment concern here, which is that states own the airspace adjacent to the land within their state that's not federally owned, and the current federal provisions don't recognize state sovereignty in that way.
So you want to give state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back, but you want to list a whole lot of conditions. Is that fair assessment?
Not a whole lot, but some. There needs to be a nexus to the facility. It can't be any drone anywhere in America if you're concerned about a particular facility, but right now it's too broad. There have to be acknowledgments of First Amendment concerns. So for instance, limiting the covered facilities to the experience and logic test which the courts use for right of public access, or prohibiting media bans across the board, or setting a time limit before and after special events so they don't extend extensively. This is what a number of state measures already do, and I'd like to see that at a federal level and apply to bring this within the constitutional
Sounds
limits.
like a lot of conditions to me.
No, not very many. As long as there's probable cause and the conditions are met, then absolutely you can.
Have you ever heard of
Search.
a legislative practice called loving a bill to death?
Yes.
Okay? And that's when you take a bill and somebody says, I'm really for this bill. But then they add so many amendments and they screw it up so badly that the bill either becomes ineffective or doesn't pass. Is that a pretty accurate description?
Of the term?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're trying to love this to death, aren't you?
I disagree.
You're not really for giving law enforcement the power to fight back, are you?
I am in favor of giving law enforcement that power and respecting constitutional limits.
I don't believe you, Professor. Okay? You're not talking to Bambi's baby brother here. Okay? I've read some of your stuff. I think you'd be more intellectually honest if you just come out and say, I'm on the side of the bad guys here. I think we shouldn't give state and local law enforcement the authority to fight back. You're trying to make it as hard as possible, aren't you?
We'll have to disagree on that point, Senator.
Nah. You ever heard the expression, watch what they do, not what they say? I've watched what you've done. I know what you believe. Or you're on the FISA court?
I'm not on the court. No, I'm an amicus for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and the Court of Review.
Okay. Were you there when you guys issued all those bad warrants against Trump's people?
I can't discuss my work on the court,
Oh,
unfortunately.
it's top secret, right? You'd have to put me on the American people on double secret probation if you told them the truth, wouldn't you?
No. I can't discuss my matters that I've handled before the court. I can discuss the public ones where I've dealt with First Amendment concerns and the right to petition. I did an extensive history looking at that right
I'm done,
to petition.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. We're going to turn it over to Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
That's the problem with these woke academic elites. They talk a big game about rights and freedoms, but when it comes to protecting the American people, they always side with bureaucracy, red tape, and the criminals. These people would rather risk public safety than let a cop make a judgment call in the field. That's not justice. That's insanity. And then it got even better. Kennedy brought up the professor's role on the FISA court as an amicus, a supposed legal advisor. He asked the million-dollar question, were you there when the court issued bogus warrants against President Trump's team? Suddenly, the professor had nothing to say. I can't discuss that, he said. Yeah, I'll bet you can't. Top secret, right? Or maybe just too embarrassing to admit. This is what we're up against, folks. Academic elites who hide behind big words and classified documents while undermining law enforcement, sabotaging legislation, and protecting the very institutions that targeted Trump and his allies. Senator Kennedy exposed the whole charade. He didn't play nice. He didn't try to appease. He stood for the Constitution, common sense, and the right of law enforcement to defend this nation. And for that, we owe him thanks. If you're sick of these bureaucrats, lawyers, and left-wing professors making excuses for criminals, then it's time to stand up. Comment below with Back the Blue. Subscribe to MAGA Capital and share this video so more Americans can see what really happened in that hearing room. We're not backing down. We're not compromising. We will defend this country, our Constitution, and every law enforcement officer brave enough to do their job. Stay strong. Stay free. This is MAGA Capital.